Hello and welcome to Aging Matters, a program featuring individuals who talk about aging-related issues of interest to older adults and their families. I'm Cheryl Beversdorf, your host. Pickleball is the fastest growing adult sport in the nation and can be played by just about anyone, including adults over age 55. Older adults enjoy playing pickleball because it's a low-impact sport and allows them to compete and have fun without excessive wear and tear on their bodies. Today, I have two guests. The first is Kristen Larrick, Associate Executive Director of YMCA Arlington Tennis, Squash, and Pickleball Center, and she is joined by her mother, Carla Larrick, former Senior Vice President of Operations with YMCA Washington. She's also an avid pickleball player. Kristen and Carla will give us basic information about pickleball and describe health benefits for older adults and how to play safely to avoid injuries. They will also talk about pickleball classes and where to play in the Washington metropolitan community. Later in the program, they will show us pickleball equipment and basic rules for playing the game. So welcome, Kristen and Carla, and thank you for joining me today.
Thank you so much for having us.
Okay, well, Carla, let's start with you. We need a little bit of an oversight here about pickleball. What is pickleball and what is its history?
Well, pickleball was founded in 1965, and there were three families on vacation, and they were looking for something to do, so they started hitting a wiffle ball over a badminton net with ping pong paddles, believe it or not, and there it was. Pickleball was born.
And is it very popular now throughout the United States?
Oh, 4.2 million people are playing pickleball to date. And as you said, it's the fastest growing sport in America. And pickleball got its name because one of the families had a dog named Pickles.
So now we know.
Now we know.
It's the dog who is named Pickles. So, okay, well, Kristen, why has pickleball become so popular amongst people of all ages? What do people like about it?
Yeah, so it's a really easy sport to learn and play. It's mainly played in doubles, and the court size is about half the size of a tennis court, so it's much smaller. And because there's doubles, you're covering more ground and you're closer together, much more social. You can have more of a conversation while playing, having fun. You're also covering less ground because of the size of the court, so that's lower impact. So all ages can play. My mom and I love to play all the time at the YMCA. We can keep up well together because, again, it's more side to side, a couple feet. It's much smaller court, and we can keep up as a family. My dad and my brother love to join us as well. So all ages can get along and keep up pretty well together.
And so one of the things that I was wondering about is physical shape. Do players need to be in good physical shape to play pickleball? I'm thinking older adults may not be quite as spry, perhaps, as young people. So what can you tell us about that?
Yeah, so if you have any concerns like heart conditions or any prior injuries, we always recommend that you consult with a doctor. Other than that, it's a really great way to start your fitness journey. Again, it's smaller, it's lower impact. It's a good way to get out there and increase your physical fitness, get healthier. So again, consult with your physical doctor, but at the same time, it's a good place to start.
And to that point, should people kind of do stretches or some kind of warming up exercise, say, before they start the game?
Yeah, always. So we always make sure that everyone warms up before they step foot on the court. You want to be all stretched out. You want to be warmed up before you start moving. It's really easy to pull a muscle once you get playing. People get so excited that they don't want to warm up, which is common in any sport, but people want to just jump out there and have fun. Again, always warm up because you do not want to get injured and ruin the rest of your season.
And so talk a little bit more, Kristen, about health benefits. And I'm thinking not only just physical, but perhaps emotional, social. What would stimulate older adults to want to play this game?
Yeah, so again, it's a great way to start your physical fitness journey. It's fun to play while getting out there and having that physical activity. It betters your cardiovascular fitness, it betters your mobility, it increases your balance, which over time, as you age, you lose balance, right? So you need to increase that muscle mass. It'll keep you on your toes, less risk of falling. It's really good to stay in shape. It's a ton of fun, so it's really good physically to stay in shape, and then also emotionally, right? So like you said, it's a social game. So it gets you out there with your friends, your family. It's positive. Everybody is always very inclusive. They want to have a good time. So it's a very fun way to get in that physical activity, and you'll never even know that you're working out.
And even mentally, is there like concentration and skill? Would you say that that's a part of it too?
I think everyone always loves to master something. So if you can start a new sport and get really excited about progressing in that sport, that's a positive thing to go through, right? So we're all going to feel better about getting better at a sport. Again, I always have support from my mom, my family. We're having a ton of fun out there. So when I step off the court, I'm always in a really great mood emotionally. It's just such a good time. You can't really be sad.
But to that point, though, might there be reasons, Kristen, that maybe people shouldn't play pickleball? I mean, what kind of caution maybe do we need to talk about here in terms of that possibility?
So again, if you have any heart conditions or joint injuries, potentially bad balance, you do want to consult with a doctor before playing. We always recommend that you supplement weight training alongside to keep up that muscle mass so that you don't have injuries. It's a very explosive sport, so it's more reactionary. Again, it's smaller, so it's lower impact, but here and there you're going to be taking a step for a ball, right? So it's very easy to potentially pull a calf muscle. Your Achilles tendon happens commonly, a hamstring. So of course you want to always make sure that you're in shape, keeping up with it. It's easy to get injured just like any other sport, but it is lower impact. So I would say it's a much better sport to start with, or for the aging individual to start with as well, for lower risk of injury.
And I would suspect that probably if you haven't done any physical exercise in a long time, you might be kind of start out slowly.
Yeah, so you always want to start slowly, and you want to make sure you stay on top of working out and keeping up that muscle mass so you don't have a risk of falling or getting hurt. Again, it's a good place to start. It's a very slow game. It's easy to learn, so it's a good place to start and then supplement that training. But we do recommend that you have, good balance again and a good history with working out and being in shape before playing. But it's also a great way to start getting into fitness.
So one thing also I wanted to ask you about, Kristen, is it possible to be injured playing pickleball?
Yeah, so again, just like any sport, it's very easy to get injured. Any bad step, if you don't warm up beforehand, you're not stretched out, it's easy to pull that calf muscle, your hamstring. A lot of the times it's so much fun, it's easy to get out there for 3 hours. Next thing you know, you have no more water, right? So we want to make sure you're always hydrated. I bring a gallon bottle every time I hit the courts because it gets really hot out in the summer, right? So I want to always stay hydrated, and that also keeps me from cramping as well. So yeah, there is always a risk of injury, but again, if you consult with a doctor before playing, if you have concerns or you're keeping up with your physical fitness and your muscle strength, then you have a less risk of injury. Also awareness of the court. So if a ball goes behind my head, it might not be a ball that's worth my time to go run for and potentially fall backwards, right? So just stay aware of what balls are worth going for and what balls are just, I lost the point, I'll get the next one, right?
And I did hear you say about checking with your physician. Is that something that a lot of older adults do, is to make sure?
Yes, definitely, especially as you're aging, more risk of, heart conditions, muscle imbalances, lack of balance. You just always consult. It's better to know beforehand before you start from a doctor.
Okay. Well, we got the basics here. So, Carla, let's get back to you. Obviously, you're an avid pickleball player, and tell us about what your experience has been in terms of, obviously, you're a woman and you play. Are there a lot of men that play too? I mean, do both men and women play pickleball?
Yeah, it's definitely a co-ed sport, and if you sign up for tournaments, you may find that they have a women's category, a men's category, and a co-ed category, so you can do any of the three. And, we play as a family, and, it's a great sport. It's social, so everyone kind of comes together, and yes.
So to that point, so women can play with men and vice versa, and so it kind of mix and match sort of thing as well. And are they also teams? I guess that's one of the things that I was wondering. Is it singles or doubles, or what does that look like?
Both. Mostly doubles in pickleball, which makes it great for aging because you don't have as much court you have to run on. And but we do play singles. That's much, a higher level. You've got to be more in shape for singles. But yes, both.
Okay. And what about skill level? I mean, I'm assuming, as Kristen was talking, we start out with somebody who's never played pickleball, and you've got the other person who's been playing for years. So how does that work in terms of forming a team or finding a player? First of all, let's talk about different skill levels.
Yes.
Is that the case?
A beginner would be at a 1.0 and go all the way up to advanced, which would be an 8.0 and everything in between. So it's nice to match up with, someone in your level so that, it's better playing that way. But, players do play with the beginners and vice versa. And it's great to play with someone that's more advanced because then you're going to improve. And the nice thing about pickleball being as social as it is, everyone comes together and they're willing to play with the beginner. The advanced person is willing to play with the beginner player, so it's nice, especially at the drop-ins.
Okay, and I was also hearing you say about you start out at 1 and you go to 8. Who makes that determination as to whether you're a 1 or a 5 or a 7?
The organization that you're playing with will rate you, and with whether you're at the YMCA or somewhere else.
Okay, and so they make the determination as to what level you're at.
Yes.
And are people always happy if they?
Maybe not, but and you work your way up the ladder to a different level, and a lot of people, most people are around about 3.5, 4.0, the average aging person like myself. But it's all different levels play together. It only matters when you're in a tournament. Just going to drop in and round robins and things is not as important. But in tournaments, they're going to want to know your level so they can place you with the right people.
So it gets a little more serious then in terms of what your level. Okay. Well, to play pickleball, players must be familiar with the equipment they need and what the rules are. So Kristen and Carlo will give us tips about how to play and enjoy the game. So let's watch.
So to start playing pickleball, you have to have the right equipment. You'll see my mother and I are in athletic clothing, leggings, a nice pullover. I've got a tennis skirt or a pickleball skirt. Honestly, you can wear whatever you want. Anything goes as long as it's athletic. You can move around, you can sweat, whatever's comfortable. Next, you need to have the right shoes. So you'll see our shoes below. We have court-specific shoes, tennis shoes, pickleball shoes. You want to have the right grip for the court surface so that you don't have any injury. Next, you need to have a pickleball. It's just like having a tennis ball, but it's made of plastic and it has holes. So it's a little bit of a harder surface, a little bit slower when it moves. And then you've got your paddle. This is made of graphite or composite. It's a harder surface similar to a ping pong paddle. A little different from a tennis racket that has strings and is a little bouncier. This is a harder contact. And you'll hear that nice dink sound. So to get started in the game, we've got a not to scale pickleball court. Normally the pickleball court is 44 feet in length, 20 feet in width, and 7 feet makes up your kitchen, otherwise known as the non-volley zone. Very easy to put and set up in your backyard or your driveway, or on any hard surface. So I'm going to show you how to serve. This begins the play for pickleball. I'm aiming cross court. So you'll see this box and this box as well. We've got the service boxes right back to start, and then you've got your partner's box. I want to aim cross court to the same box across to my opponent. I'm standing behind the service line, otherwise known as the baseline, to start the game. With the serve, I'm dropping the pickleball and I'm contacting with an underhand serve. Not like tennis, we are not doing overhand, it's underhand. The paddle is below the wrist, which is below the elbow, and the contact is below the waist. There's two ways that you can serve. You can either drop the ball and let it bounce, or you can drop the ball and hit it out of the air. So I will show what a serve looks like out of the air. and my mother will show what a bounce serve looks like. Good. Both were cross court. So if I were to start the game with a serve, hitting it across the net, cross to my opponent, and they hit it back, let's say we win the rally. As the serving team, we win a point. We would then switch sides, and I would continue the serving for my side. So again, taking that serve, if we win the point, we switch back. I'm still the first server. If I were to make this serve and lose the point, my mother would then become the second server. She would then continue to serve until we lose the rally or lose the point, and then it goes to our opponent. So you'll note that there are two servers. Next, I'm going to talk a little bit more about the kitchen. So coming up to this short line, it's only 7 feet from the net. Again, this is not to scale. This is otherwise known as the non-volley zone. So anytime that a ball is hit back over the net, if I am standing in this 7-foot kitchen area, I cannot hit the ball out of the air. I must be behind this line. Anytime the ball is hit and it drops, I can step into the kitchen, hit it off the bounce, and step right back out. This also goes for if I hit the ball and I fall in the kitchen off the momentum. Still no point, I lose it, I lose the rally. If I hit the ball and my watch falls in or my hat falls in the kitchen, I lose the rally. So at no point in time should you be standing in here unless the ball bounces and you need to retrieve it and immediately get back out. You don't want to lose the point. All in all, that's everything you need to know to get started in pickleball. Sign up for some lessons, get out on the court, and have a great time with all your friends and family.
I hope Kristen and Carla's demonstration has helped you better understand what you need to know and what you need to have in terms of equipment to play pickleball. So a few more questions that I wanted to ask you. Kristen, I'm going to start with you. Now that you've shown us what we need to do and what equipment we need to have, how do good pickleball players get to be better players? What can you tell us?
Yeah, so the more you play, the better you get. Just like any coach would say, practice, practice, practice makes perfect. Any clinic you can take, the YMCA has many coaches. They do private lessons, they do clinics, group lessons. Drop-in, which is also pick-up play, is another great place to practice those skills that you have learned. So we highly recommend taking a private lesson and learning more about pickleball and bettering your skills and then putting them into play while you're playing in drop-in.
And I know that each of you are at different locations, and I was just wondering, are there a lot of people that spend a lot of time practicing pickleball?
Yeah, so most people who are avid pickleball players will continue to play every day to better their skill. It gets exciting when you get to master a sport like pickleball. So a lot of them will come to our lessons and clinics and then again go to drop-in and put all that into play. It just depends on the person. Some people might just come by for a good time once here and there, but again, most people, once you've picked up a paddle and played pickleball, you get obsessed with the sport, you can't put it down, and you want to get better.
And do they practice by themselves also, or do they need to practice with a partner?
You can, but more than likely you will be playing with somebody else since the sport is played with a partner and 4 people on the court.
Okay.
You can practice serves by yourself, you can practice a couple touches over the net by yourself, but again, it'll be more than likely 2 people at least, so you can hit back and forth over the net.
Okay. So, Carla, I wanted to get back to you in terms of tournaments. You mentioned a little bit earlier in terms of you get scored in terms of how good you are and what your skill level is. Tell us a little bit more. What happens at pickleball tournaments?
Well, I just recently played in a tournament, and they're so much fun. Everyone loves competition. So once you master the skill, or at least you're feeling comfortable, you go into your skill level and play with someone in a tournament. And when you win that, you move on to play the next group of players. And so it's really, really fun. Competition makes it exciting. So,
well, but are there like just 1 game or 3 games or 5 games in a tournament? What can people
The one
expect?
I played in was 6 games,
okay.
And then they score what your score is, and then they add it up and they find out of the 4 of you what's the highest score. And then you move on to play the next group. So, and there are different ways, but that's one of the most popular and common ways.
And then if you lose, you can't go on.
That's right. Then you get to watch.
Okay.
And you learn from watching.
And the other thing in terms of tournaments, first of all, when and where are they played? Are they played all the time or certain times of the year or what?
Yeah, well, you know, at the YMCA, we were going to have tournaments coming up that I hope you'll all get involved in, but also you can go online and find all kinds of places. Pickleball is everywhere now.
Right.
Parks, recreation centers, so everywhere you go, you're going to find pickleball. But I hope you'll come to the YMCA because we have some great programs. As she said, drop-in, pick-up, you know, round robins, leagues, and tournaments.
And so, and they would be, again, for all levels, older adults as well as younger folks, and then all skill levels too.
Absolutely.
So, sounds like a lot of tournaments,
Yes.
different
We have a
activities.
lot to offer when it comes to pickleball and other sports.
Okay. And so, Kristen, I wanted to get back to you because you're at the YMCA in Arlington. Does the YMCA offer classes for men and women to learn how to play pickleball? Tell us a little bit more about these classes.
Yeah, of course. So it's an all-inclusive sport, obviously, men and women. We have private lessons, so one-on-one with a coach. You can learn probably the most with a one-on-one time with a coach. We have group lessons. You can sign up, you and your friends. If I wanted my family to come sign up, I could learn from a coach. And then just clinics, usually about 8 to 10 people on a court learning the generic how to play, or depending on your skill level, right? So if I'm an intermediate player, I would sign up for more of an intermediate class and learn a little bit more in depth about pickleball, whereas our beginner classes are going to be more the basics and how to play.
And if they want, folks want to, that are watching this show, want to sign up, do they have to come over there in person, or can they sign up online, or how does that work?
Yeah, so you can always come in person. You can also visit our website. It's www.ymcadc.org/pickleball. Has
Okay.
all the information. We have 3 facilities right now that offer pickleball. We have outdoor courts at Bethesda and Silver Spring, and then indoor courts at the Arlington Tennis Pickleball and Squash Center. So it's readily available for anybody who wants to sign up.
And then they would have to pay a fee as well.
Yeah, so we
depending
have a
on-
membership. We also have a non-member option as well. You would pay additional prices for the programs that we offer in comparison to our members, but it just depends how involved you are. And we have I think over 1,000 players in our association. So it's very easy to find a partner and get on the court and you're ready to go.
Okay. And I'm probably making a question or asking a question that you could, show some bias here, but where are the best places to play pickleball in Arlington? But I'd like to expand that a little bit more to around in the metropolitan area. Are there better courts in certain places than others? What would you tell us?
Yeah, so obviously the YMCA. Again, the Arlington Y has 6 indoor courts, and the Bethesda and Silver Spring YMCAs have 14 and 8 outdoor courts.
Okay.
You can also go to any local recreational park. A lot of people are painting them in their driveway. You can use chalk, you can use tape, very easy. You can find courts almost anywhere. If there's a tennis court, there's probably a pickleball court. It's very popular, it's growing. A lot of tennis courts are being converted to pickleball courts. So you
Really?
could probably drive a mile from your house and find a court somewhere readily available.
So is pickleball kind of going beyond tennis now and becoming more popular? I'm curious to.
I think there's definitely potential for it. I think it's headed that direction. Now, who
Yeah.
knows in a couple years where it could be, but it's so easily accessible, and because it's such a small court, again, people can paint it in their driveway. It's easy to find. You have a tennis court, you can easily paint 2 pickleball courts on that. You just need a net and you're ready to go.
And I do know that the community centers, there are 5 community centers in Arlington that also offer, I don't know if they all have pickleball courts though. I think.
Yeah, so it can be a little harder to find pickleball specific dedicated courts.
Right.
A lot of them are just taped in the gym on a gym surface.
Okay.
We have more of a court surface, which is a little bit nicer to play on, especially with joints. But it just depends where you go. It's very easy to find.
And if a person just wanted to know a little bit more about pickleball, not necessarily where to play, but just learn more about it, what would you tell us?
Yes, you can always start on the internet. You can research almost anything. There's YouTube videos on how to play. There's YouTube videos on how to serve, how to do every basic move in pickleball. You can read about it. You can also visit PPR, which is the Professional Pickleball Registry. They have lots of resources on there. That's where we got certified through. And then you can always come to the Y. Again, visit our website. We have all the coaches that can teach you everything and more to better your play or even learn how to play pickleball.
Well, if you want to be popular, then doing pickleball is what you should do, right?
It is.
Exactly.
It is.
Okay.
Definitely.
Well, I want to thank Kristen Larrick with the YMCA Arlington Tennis Squash and Pickleball Center and Carla Larrick, an avid pickleball player, for joining me today. This program is broadcast Sundays at 5:30 p.m. and Wednesdays at 6 p.m. on Comcast Channel 69 or Verizon Channel 38 in Arlington, Virginia, or streaming live at these times on arlingtonmedia.org. Aging Matters is also on the radio. The program is broadcast every Tuesday at 2 p.m. and Friday at 4 p.m. on WERA Arlington 96.7 FM. And by the way, be sure to check out the Aging Matters website, agingmattersonline.com, for more information about all of our radio programs and TV episodes. Thank you for watching Aging Matters TV show today. Please join me again for the next show. And until then, remember, age is just a number, not a label.